Hi everybody. Thank you so much for returning to my channel. If you've been here before and if this is your first time visiting, I'm so glad you stopped by. I'm Megan, the faithful fibromyalgia warrior, and I know it's been well over a week since I put up my last video, but there's been some things going on with me personally. And to be quite honest, I really wasn't even quite sure what to talk about. So I think right now this is just the spirit working. I think trusting that the words that come out will be helpful in some way, make you feel encouraged, or at least that you're not alone, and maybe supportive to you in some way, if at all possible. So if you've been to my channel here before, as I said, thank you for coming back. If you haven't, I talk about being a faithful Christian, living with fibromyalgia and other chronic lower back pain, about living with arthritis, Raynaud's, an underactive thyroid, IBS, anxiety, depression, and bulimia. Now, I have been officially diagnosed with all of these things, but it's within the last couple of years that I have either found a place of recovery or management through these different conditions. Not that I don't believe that God could take all of this away if he wanted to, but I look at it as I find a way through this, then hopefully my story might help somebody else. So basically what's been up this week is really trying to come to grips emotionally with going through the first start of menopause. Now, if you're a gentleman and you're watching this, obviously you're welcome to keep listening. I'm not going to describe the scientific, functioning of all that. There's no need. But if you don't want to hear about that, you might want to check out another video of mine, one of the many others that are up there. There's over 60 of them. But for those of you who may be struggling with going through menopause and trying to figure out how to manage symptoms and what to do, I hope maybe this video will be helpful. So for those of you who don't know, 2.5 years ago, I was weighing in, and now I'm 5'5", which is pretty average for a female, but I was weighing in at about 195 pounds. Okay, that's a lot of extra weight, extra fat on my body. That's what I weighed when I was pregnant with my older son, who is now 22. And 2.5 years ago, I was not pregnant. Now, when I was pregnant with my other son 19 years ago, I think I was just over 200 pounds. Because it's pretty common if you have more than one pregnancy, those other pregnancies, you tend to put on a little bit more weight. That aside, I was weighing as much as I did during my first pregnancy, and I was not pregnant. A lot of it was water weight, but certainly not all of it. And the carbohydrates and the processed food and all the seed oils and all the stuff I was eating was what caused the problem. Now, it didn't help that I was dealing with anxiety, that I was dealing with depression, that I was struggling with IBS, food intolerances, and certainly not, I'll say it again, didn't help that I had anxiety and that I had been fighting through and losing a battle with bulimia for at least the previous 30 years. Okay? So I was in an uphill battle. And 2.5 years ago, say end of May of 2020, we saw the end of lockdowns coming for the first time here in England. And I realized, my brain fog, which is probably outside of the chronic soft tissue tingling and pain through my arms and my legs and the back of my neck and the front of my chest and my hips and outer thighs, my buttocks, all of that, all those, the stereotypical pressure points that you get with fibromyalgia, I had all of them and more. okay? And those were constantly firing off. They were constantly inflamed. It felt like I was being stabbed all over the place with tiny little pins, like I was a pincushion, right? And the brain fog, outside of that, the brain fog was the worst part. And I had been wanting for a while, probably since the start of COVID, I had really started realizing that having one day a week where we would, as a family, look at a couple scripture verses and, maybe take communion or talk about God a little, it wasn't enough. So every Sunday as a family, we would read a scripture together, discuss it for a couple minutes, and then either my husband and I would just have a short prayer, and that was it. That was the extent of our spiritual time together. And I wanted more. But for me, I was finding it really, really hard to focus long enough that I could actually spend time meditating to God and praying. And so, for those of you who haven't seen any of my other videos, I actually ended up discovering the ketogenic protocol, which then led me to carnivore and basically eliminating everything except for animal products, with the exception of coffee. Other than that, no. I did not partake of any plants. I am not able to tolerate them, even if it wasn't for the anti-nutrients or the oxalates in most plants, being fruit or vegetable, seed or grain. I couldn't tolerate, my gut simply cannot digest any of that. So from the IBS point of view, I had to avoid it anyway. So here I was being told I had IBS back in 2007, and I had to avoid gluten, and I had to limit dairy, and I had to stay away from grains and cereals and nuts and seeds, leafy greens, things like onion and cabbage and spices and vegetable seed oils, because they would trigger my IBS. Now, as I found out later, those are just bad for us in general, right? But as I started on the path to keto, and I cut out all the fructose, so all the fruits, all the vegetables, all the grains and cereals and pulses and legumes and all these things, all the fiber, which is really, really bad if you have IBS, by the way, I started to feel so much better. And when I found my happy place, which is, for me, just to let you guys know, a giant, handful of beef mince fried in the frying pan or skillet, whatever you're using, some crispy bacon and a couple of egg yolks, and mix it all together, put a little salt on to flavor. That is my happy place. Or, some pre-made burger patties with bacon and a fried egg on top. And so once I started eating that, and I mean really getting rid of the other stuff, wow, did I start to feel better. Okay. And I lost 80 pounds, and my weight was fairly stable, and I was feeling great about myself, and my hormones were pretty level. My cycle was regular. And then about 2-3 weeks ago, especially, I started to really feel a huge difference. And I'm guessing hormone-wise. And for me, I suddenly felt as though my body was fighting itself. What I mean is, for 2.5 years, I was able to, eat less and be satiated and go for long periods without needing anything in between. I was full, I was satisfied, I was eating fatty meats, I was eating all the rendered beef fat from the skillet, I was eating any of the bacon grease that was there. Nothing was wasted. And I savored it, and I took my time with it, and it was amazing. And I saw great results, and I saw a reduction in my pain, in my inflammation, my arthritis, all of it. My brain fog is almost completely non-existent. We all have those sort of mental moments, but for the most part, yeah, it was really good. And then over the past couple of weeks, my lower back has started to really been painful and twingy. Oh, here we go. Here's my puppy joining the group. Hi. Say hi. Say hi, birdie. Say hi. Um, so I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then I realized, wait a minute, I know what's happening. I was panicking, by the way, because I thought I was doing something wrong. I couldn't seem to stop eating. All of a sudden, my appetite was through the roof, and I have no idea why. Just a couple weeks ago. And mind you, now it's been almost a month since my cycle was supposed to have started. So I'm clearly into that phase of menopause where, for some of us, we suddenly have a massive increase in appetite. And I know that here in this space of keto carnivore, we will talk about, many will talk about, if you're hungry, eat. Feed until you're full. But I thought to myself, well, what do I do if I'm always hungry? Because that was the problem. I was always hungry. I could eat a filling, delicious, fatty, like fried up beef with bacon and all the drippings, and it was amazing. It was so delicious. And instead of being able to go up to 6 hours without feeling anything, within 3 hours, all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'm hungry. I need to eat something again. Why is this? So I've been eating more pieces, I've been slicing off little bits of butter, trying a little bit of salt in the back of my tongue, drinking a lot of decaffeinated coffee. And then, the crazy thing is over this past week or two, I started to feel guilty because I allowed myself to enjoy a few cappuccinos. And the thing is, I know that my gut is healing. In fact, it feels as though it is actually healed. Now, if I was to go and eat spicy food or any of the fruit and vegetables I used to love, or things like that, I would ruin it once again. But I've found if I'm drinking a cappuccino maybe once or twice a week, that it doesn't seem to bother me. Wow, that's amazing. I can cut off little slices of butter as a snack every now and then, which I know might sound weird as a snack, and it tastes great to me, makes me feel full, sort of a stopgap, between meals, and it doesn't bother me like it used to, which is great. That means my gut's healing, my stomach acid is finally where it should be, my gallbladder is running at full function, because I restricted and purged for decades. And my poor insides had no idea how to deal with that, and they didn't. My adrenals were tired, my cortisol levels were through the roof. I had onset early fatty liver disease because of all the fruit I used to eat. The triglycerides were too high, etc., and so on. All of that's been reversed, which is amazing. But I felt a bit embarrassed. I thought, oh, but here I am saying I only drink black coffee. And then I realized, well, who am I doing that for exactly? Is that because I prefer it? Is that because I'm afraid I might get put on a bit of weight? Because yes, there is carbs, whether I decide to have milk in my coffee, whether it's almond milk or regular milk. By the way, guys, no, I stay away from the almond milk still. But outside of that, am I doing it for me, or because I feel like I'm supposed to? And I guess what I realized is we all have to see what works for us. And as much as I know that's how God feels about us, I didn't quite fully get it. I didn't get it. And there is grace. For the most part, I do prefer a nice strong cup of hot black coffee. I generally try to do that after I eat my breakfast, maybe again around lunchtime. And then for the most part, usually after that, I drink decaf. Plain, black, nothing in it. Whether that's instant, whether that's out somewhere and I'm getting an Americano, what does it matter? Right? At the end of the day, I do okay with it. For those of you who are totally off plants, more power to you. And I guess I felt like, you know what, if I'm going to give up coffee, and I'm not saying it's not a bad. I'm not saying that's a bad thing to do, but I have to do it for the right reasons. And just as I eat what I eat because it works for me, it doesn't mean it's going to necessarily work for you. I do extremely well with bacon, egg yolks, and 20% fat ground beef. That's what I do well with. Or, burger patties with maybe bacon and egg on top if we're out somewhere. Every once in a while, if we go out to a restaurant, I'll order steak. Every now and again, we might do lamb chops at home. Other than that, though, that's what I eat, because I find steaks are too lean for me. I need the fat, because my body still craves the fat, because I denied it fat for such a long time. And I realized that where I am right now, I can only do what I can do in the way that works best for me. And so I've just had to share with you guys that I was feeling so full of guilt this week, like somehow I wasn't being a good carnivore or a good meat-eating person because I was having cappuccinos. I had a few cappuccinos, or I actually, I've been trying to see if I can put a bit of dairy back in my diet and not have any issues. I've been eating a few pieces of cheese every now and again. Not loads, just a little. Maybe a little slice, maybe 1 or 2 small pieces a day. That's it. Or across, like I said, or on a burger if we're out. And I realized it's such hard work to try to live up to what someone else is doing. And I forgot to just do what's right for me. And so if you're feeling somehow like you have to do this because I'm saying it, I don't want that. I'm just trying to say that it may help. It may very much help you. It certainly helped me. Cutting out the processed food and like the seed oils, that alone can make a big difference. If you need to lose weight, that alone might help you lose weight. Cutting out all carbs, and I'm talking vegetables and fruits. We don't need them. They're not an essential nutrient. Hey, if you like them and they don't seem to cause you gut issues and you like a little bit of them with your meals, go ahead. Of course you can. I'm not the food police. I've just realized that, along with the joy of this time of my life, of both my children are now grown young men, and one's out of the house. The other will be, I have no doubt, will be in about a year or so as well. And that's an exciting thing to look forward to for them. And that's wonderful. My husband and I are entering a new phase in our life. And for me, whilst I look forward to not having to deal with Mother Nature every single month, I'm realizing I am going to have to still deal with some of the symptoms, like i.e. cravings, for just a little bit longer. And I don't know, what I'm trying to do is, like I said, if I feel like I'm hungry and I need to snack, I'll cut up a piece of butter and eat that. Or maybe slice of butter and a little piece of cheese and eat those together, just to keep on hand. Or I make myself a decaf tea or coffee and just whatever it is, trying to eat slowly so that I feel full and my hunger signals are working properly and all that kind of stuff. As far as the increase in like my lower back pain and that kind of thing, honestly, I don't know what that is exactly, other than I do know that stuff is affected by my hormones. So my hormones are going a bit haywire. I guess it makes sense. Guys, I don't know if any of this has been helpful, but I sure hope it has. And I hope if you're going through any of this yourself that you I just want you guys to know that you're not alone. If you're going through anything similar, I hear you, and I hope that this is encouraging to you. And yeah, that was it. I just really wanted to share with you guys what's been up with me, and I hope if I'm open and honest about some of my struggles, that maybe it'll help you with some of yours. Anyways, guys, that is it for me today. I hope you guys have a great week. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for watching this video. and I will try to have more content a little bit sooner than the last time. Hopefully there won't be as much of a wait between these postings. That's it for now, guys. I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye!